Amen. So this morning we continue our series, Short Stories by Jesus, walking through the parables that are found in the Gospel of Luke. Now you may have noticed that some of our parables are not very well known. Part of that was on purpose. I feel that there are parables in Luke that we know forwards and backwards, and I wanted us to look at ones perhaps that weren't quite as familiar. Sometimes I wonder why I decided that, and this is one of those. But our short story this morning is one with many layers, things for us to ponder. But I start with a few questions. Would you consider yourself an observant person? Are you aware of your surroundings? Do you notice people, all kinds of people, as you go about your day? The frazzled mom with a cart full of groceries and the kids hanging all over her. The well-dressed man talking on his phone as he walks briskly through the parking lot. The distraught older man at the bus stop with a look of confusion and loss on his face. The young woman with a look of hopelessness holding a sign on the side of the road. The young boy playing alone on the playground. Do you see them? Is your heart stirred with compassion? Do you pause and ask yourself, how can I help? Jesus' story for us this week is a story of humility and compassion. Well, actually, it's about the lack of humility and compassion and the consequences of living life without those qualities. In his typical fashion, Jesus speaks to his audience. People who think they know everything. And as Jesus talks to them, he flips the script on what they think they're going to hear, sharing a great reversal and a call to action. So Jesus sets the stage for this story. He says there once was a rich man, expensively dressed in the latest fashions, wasting his days in conspicuous consumption. A poor man named Lazarus, covered in sores, had been dumped on his doorstep. All he lived for was to get a meal of scraps off the rich man's table. His best friends were the dogs who came and licked his sores. The parable begins with a great reversal. Normally, it is the important people in a story that have a name. They have recognition. They are somebody. But in our short story, the rich man is apparently an important man that has no name. And the poor, insignificant man does. His name is Lazarus. Not only does he have a name, but his name holds meaning. Lazarus means God helps. So Jesus begins by depicting the rich man and his life, and then contrasting it with Lazarus and his condition. The rich man is dressed to the nines in the latest fashion. Purple cloth is what we're told. It means that he was somebody. Roman law codified who had the right to wear purple. At that time, it was a very expensive dye, and not everyone had the right to wear it. So the audience for Jesus' story understood that the rich man was sufficiently respected to merit this particular honor. And also indirectly, that he had achieved this with the approval of the Roman authorities. So he was well known and well liked. He was an important and respected person. We are told he was so rich that he has extravagant feasts, not only on special occasions, but every day. And then there's Lazarus. Between him and the rich man, there is a gate, another sign of the rich man's wealth and importance. He lived in a wealthy gated community that kept the undesirables out. Lazarus is not allowed to go within the gates, so he is placed just outside the gates along the road where he can be seen. In the Message translations, it says that he was dumped by the gate, meaning that his sores were so bad, he was so malnourished, that he couldn't get there on his own. So he was placed by the gate day after day, placed along the side of the road where he can be seen, where he can beg for help and potentially receive assistance. Lazarus is not only starving, but also covered in sores, which made him unclean and accursed by God. The only contact Lazarus had was the rich man's dogs, who would come and lick his wounds, further exacerbating his unclean status by being licked by unclean dogs. From the point of view of human prestige, wealth, and even religiosity, the rich man is far above Lazarus. So the picture is painted, the characters are defined, everyone knows the players and where they stand in society and with God. Then Jesus flips the script. The roles are reversed as he continues. Then he died, this poor man, and was taken up by the angels to the lap of Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried. In hell and in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham in the distance and Lazarus in his lap. And he called out, "Father Abraham, mercy, have mercy. Send Lazarus to dip his finger in the water to cool my tongue. I'm in agony in this fire." But Abraham said, "Child, remember that in your lifetime, you got the good things and Lazarus the bad. It's not like that here. Here, he's consoled, and there you're tormented." So both men die, and things are completely reversed, even in the way Jesus refers to their death. Did you catch it? Lazarus died and was taken up by the angels, up to Abraham. It's a beautiful picture. And the rich man, well, he died and was buried. No fanfare, nothing big. The great reversal is the final outcome of each man's life. The rich man ends up in Hades, while Lazarus is carried to the bosom of Abraham, which we know it as heaven. And after such a great reversal of fortunes, the rich man still considers himself more important than Lazarus, whom he once sent to him and then to his brothers. This great reversal is central to Luke's gospel and a part of the message that Jesus shares all throughout his ministry and in all his teachings. We see it here in this parable, which is not only about a rich man who ignored the poor, but also about the rich man ending up in poverty and the poor man in abundance in the afterlife. The one who had daily feasts now does not even have water to quench his thirst. The one whose sores had been licked by dogs, and who therefore was not even worthy to be counted among the faithful children of Abraham, is now in the presence of Abraham. The rich man's view of Lazarus has not changed since his death. He still sees Lazarus as beneath him, as someone who might be sent to do his bidding and to offer him some relief. This reveals the hardness of heart and the lack of compassion in the rich man. Even in death, he demands attention. But the story doesn't end there. The lesson continues. Abraham said, "In all these matters, there is a huge chasm between us, so that no one can go from us to you, even if he wanted to, nor can anyone cross over from you to us." Abraham must give the rich man a reply for all eternity. Heaven is not like earth. He points out how the tables have turned. The rich man had all and Lazarus had nothing. The rich man had comfort and Lazarus coped with torment. Now it is Lazarus who had everything and the rich man who had nothing. In this great reversal, there was one crucial feature that Abraham explains. A great chasm. An uncrossable gulf prevents any crossing over from one arena to the other. In effect, Abraham notes that there was a time when the rich man could have done for Lazarus what he's asking that Lazarus do for him now, but he refused to give Lazarus aid. What he measured in the past is now being measured to him only with one crucial difference. The current setup is permanent. This story urges us to live lives of humility and compassion, illustrating the potential consequences of failing to embody those qualities. Humility means having a modest view of our own worth and significance. It's about not focusing too much on yourself, but instead considering others, looking for ways to reach out, to help, to make a difference in the lives of those we encounter. The rich man, he was absorbed with his status, his clothing, his home, and extravagant lifestyle. It was his image that mattered most to him, so he didn't want to associate with anything or anyone who might harm his reputation. A haughty heart looks only at themselves and imagines greatness. Compassion is defined as feeling sympathetic concern for others who are suffering or experiencing misfortune. Showing compassion doesn't just involve financial help. Genuine compassion goes much deeper. For example, if the rich man had offered Lazarus even just some crumbs from his table to meet his basic needs, it would have been a meaningful start, and things could have ended differently for him. More importantly, recognizing Lazarus' existence, truly seeing him as a person, and addressing his greatest needs reflects true compassion. While Lazarus might have required much more support to fully recover, simply acknowledging his existence lends dignity and is a powerful act of compassion that can lead to far-reaching impact. At its core, a compassionate heart recognizes when help is needed and responds. I believe this parable highlights how our relationship with God shapes our interactions with others. Loving God calls us to respond compassionately and treat people with care, reminding us that God is gracious and calls us to be gracious in return. Our response to others should be a reflection of God's grace that we have received. Such a response indicates our desire to manifest God's character to the world. Our service to others shows something about our loyalty to God. As children of God, we have a responsibility to love one another as God loves us, unconditionally. To see others as children of God, our brothers and sisters who are created in God's image, and to respond with humility and extend compassion. So, would you consider yourself an observant person? Are you aware of your surroundings? Do you notice people of all kinds as you go about your day? Do you see the frazzled mom with a cart full of groceries and the kids hanging all over her? Do you see the well-dressed man talking on his phone as he briskly walks through the parking lot? Do you see the distraught older man sitting at the bus stop with a look of confusion and loss on his face? Or the young woman with a look of hopelessness holding a sign on the side of the road? Or the young boy playing alone on a playground full of children? Do you see them? Is your heart stirred with compassion? Do you pause and ask yourself, what can I do? How can I help? Again, I think it's Jesus' ending of the story that stirs me. Abraham, as he talks to the rich man, he says, "Child, remember that in your lifetime you got the good things, and Lazarus the bad. It's not like that here. He's consoled, and there you're tormented." In the end, it is not about what we wear or how we eat or where we live, but rather it is about how we live, how we see and respond to others. Will you pray with me?